Hi, I'm Sue Ellam, and I'm a professional tarot reader and have been for about 25 years. And I use the mythic tarot, which are based on Greek mythology.
And I'm Carrie Beleno. I am a 20-plus year intuitive Reiki master teacher and spiritual life coach. So today's question.
Yeah, the keeper of the questions.
What if I can't forgive?
Ooh, okay.
There's a lot out there right now that people feel like they can't forgive. So, topical question.
Yeah, I can't forgive. This is saying that it's important for you to let go, and because by not forgiving, you're only harming yourself. Because if you let go and you walk away from whatever the situation is, then you can reorientate yourself on an inner level as well as on a financial level, and things will start to flow. But if you're not forgiving whatever it is, however big, however small, but your lack of forgiveness is actually blocking the energy in you. So it's not opening you up for new experiences, for joy in life. Because if we're holding on to anger, grief, the power of forgiveness is massive. I remember some years ago hearing about this woman who went into a jail and actually met the person that killed her son and forgave him. And that is absolutely, it was transformative for both their lives. So I think we get so tied up with, sometimes it can get into self-righteousness as well, that, we wouldn't have done that, and so therefore I won't forgive that. But as I said before, unless you let go of it, it's going to damage your own life going forward. You need to listen to, if you can walk away, then your power of intuition is going to get stronger. And with that, you're going to find that you're directed. So you won't be drawn to situations where you'll have a need to forgive yourself or other people. I know that for me, I'll go to somewhere and then suddenly get a really strong feeling I have to leave. So I'll make my excuses, even if it's a white lie, if it's friend stuff, and I will go because my intuition has told me I don't need to be there. So I think a lot of times people, they're on this superficial wave. They don't listen to their intuition, and then they get into really difficult situations which they could have avoided if they were in tune with their intuition, because then they would have been guided for the right actions to take, the people that really didn't need to be associated with, the places that they really shouldn't have gone to, which caused this feeling of being out of step. Because if you're in step, then you don't get into really a position of having to forgive, because you'll understand it. It's kind of a soul learning. If something happens, it's because that's a lesson you haven't learned yet. So learn it, then move on. Not forgiving is also, it creates inner conflict, but also when we don't forgive, we don't tend to listen, because we're so stuck on this other person being wrong that we aren't open to listening to maybe their story or any other advice from anybody else, because it's like our lack of forgiveness makes us inviolate. You know, it's we are strong with that. We show our power, we show our strength, and maybe we're in some way trying to tell the world, don't mess with me, because you know I will get you back, or don't mess with me because you know you won't win, which is a way of protecting ourselves from being put in a position of having to of kind of lack of forgiveness again. So it's putting up this big wall. So not showing ourselves as vulnerable, especially if what's happened to us has been public. You know, then this kind of the ego, the pride comes into it as well, and we feel as though if we forgive, then it's a weakness of sorts. So it becomes a kind of a bit of an internal battle, which is backed up by this card, which is a battle between the ego and the emotions. So and it's a really difficult battle, because it's a battle of fight and of you know, we really, when we get to this point, we really have to look at things in a different way. We have to just take a different perspective, because we have just we're not forgiving, we're not listening to our intuition, we're not listening, bless you, we're not listening to other people, and now we're in this stew of emotions, and we've lost our direction. We haven't got a compass anymore, and then we're in battles of ego with other people. So this is where we get to if we don't forgive. It's a downward spiral into the emotions. But if we do forgive, things will start coming to us. We'll get money and resources. Everything that we feel was taken away from us can be renewed in a better way. You know, someone's taken your ladder, you know, but in return comes a ladder that's twice as good, twice as, you know, that's a kind of a bit of a superficial one, but it's that kind of idea. What we prepare to forgive and we're prepared to move on from, we will get the rewards. We will get double back, because we've opened up our hearts, we've opened up our intuition, and then we will get the rewards for that. But we have to be prepared to make the willing sacrifice. And it depends on what you think about forgiveness. You know, do you see it as a weakness, or do you see standing strong in your judgment of someone else as a strength? Because some people think that judgment is strength, and by talking about their judgment of other people not matching up to their expectations, they see that as strength. So, you know, are you prepared to make a willing sacrifice if you are on that particular pedestal? Or are you going to make a willing sacrifice of just letting go of things, understanding that everyone's human, and walking away from the people that definitely meant you harm, and you know that, to what could have been a mistake. But you have to be prepared to make the willing sacrifice for something better. And there's a better life ahead. You know, people hold grudges for 50 years, and it blocks them, and they often get sick as well, because all the energy is kind of blocked. So those are the cards.
Well, I'm going to share something that I've been teaching for years, and it's something that I believe in my heart and soul. And I am going to fully support everything Sue just said on a human, emotional level. the moving through those stages is spot on. But I'm going to offer a perspective now that I've been teaching and that I try very hard to remember, especially during trying times. And this is probably the single most controversial offering, one of my truths that I offer to my clients, but I'm going to offer it because it's come up and it's time, and I really find it helpful if you can embrace it. So if it resonates with you, fantastic. If you say that's a lot of BS, that's fine with me too. I don't hold any, you don't hurt me. It's okay. So I believe that our souls have all had a little powwow, a little pact before we came down into this incarnation, this lifetime. We are all purposefully here right now. And so all the souls, the major souls in our game have all kind of come together and said, yep, this is what we're going to try to do this time. I'm going to take this role. You're going to take that role. We tried that last time. That wasn't so great. So I'm going to try it this time. And we all have this like roundtable discussion about what we want to experience, who's going to support us, who's going to stay back this time, who's going to stay as a guide, all of those players. And you see a lot of that when people talk about past lives and interconnectedness through past lives and all of that. So I believe that's what conversations that our soul has. And we plan out the major things that we want to experience in our lifetime. And we get support players, support actors in our play. And then we all become born and start living the dream, which we have now forgotten about, because if we carried all of those memories from all those lifetimes, we wouldn't be able to handle it as a human. So we forget conveniently and we play the game again. And so the things that we have chosen to experience were not put upon us. They weren't karmic. They weren't payback. They were things that we have chosen to explore or chosen to feel emotionally. And it's our game. It's our play. So that's how I look at this lifetime. And by the way, that's changing for future lifetimes. Maybe we'll do that one in another episode. But we have orchestrated this. So forgiveness to me is, on a soul level, is a moot point, because we have contracted with these players in our play to give and take in our relationships and in our experiences. So there truly isn't anything to forgive, because we have designed it to be like this. And if and when you can get to the point of understanding that it is designed like this, and I'm saying, yes, even the horrible stuff, even the rapes and murders, and that's where I get a lot of contention. No one would ever plan that in their life. No one would ever want or choose to experience that. Like, what are we, stupid? We would never do that. But on a soul evolution, growth, serving humanity aspect, I think we do choose it. I'm hoping we can get to a point in humanity where we don't need to choose that anymore, that we don't need to grow from that trauma and evolve into a more mature emotional being by having those experiences. That's my prayer as we're moving forward. But I'm going to say that, yeah, I think we do pick the crappy things too. And if you can step back from being angry about that for a second and see how that relationship plays. I mean, even if you just see the number of foundations or nonprofits that are created from trauma of abduction or rape or rights or murder, like the things that people, the outreach that people have created, like those are all growth from these plays that we have enacted with ourselves. So I thought this is the time that I needed to share this philosophy that I carry. And if it resonates with you, fine. If you need to sit back and come back to this later, absolutely fine. But it's a world where forgiveness isn't necessary.
You've reminded me of, I think it was in Conversations with God, I think, when two souls were talking or communicating, whatever, however, before they were born. And one soul said to the other, "Will you forgive me?" And the other soul said, "Yes." They said, "Well, I am going to kill you, because this one soul wanted to have the experience of forgiveness and said, how can forgive?" And the other, and they said, "Oh, well, this soul, I will volunteer to help you to learn how to forgive. Will you forgive me? Because I will murder you, and you will have to forgive that. So I will teach you the lesson of forgiveness." And
Yeah, exactly. There are a lot of books, and the series of Conversations with God is one of them that I read 20 plus years ago when I started on this journey. And when things resonate with me, they just become integrated into my belief system. And it's so hard for me to then credit. I'm glad you did that, because it just becomes something I believe and work with and understand and teach and prove or disprove, and so it becomes part of my fabric, and I forget that it's something outside of me that I found, although nothing's outside of us. So I appreciate you pointing that back out, because I couldn't find that in my file cabinet, but it's such an important resource. Neil Donald Walsh's series, for those of you who aren't familiar, again, we're not getting paid for this, to help understand this bigger cosmic soul picture.
Yeah. And I have to apologize if there's any noise on the video. We've got a heat wave here in London, and I've got the windows wide open, and occasionally a car will wander past.
Nope, we haven't heard anything. It's good.
Good. Okay. I think we've covered it. So
thank you.
Thank you very much for being with us. And if you could subscribe and share if this resonates, that would be very much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. It's our mission to reach as many people as possible. So thank you.
Bye.